Hi, this week I'm going to do the double chocolate raspberry cake from Rose Levy-Berenbaum from her book, I think it's Rose's Heavenly Cakes, which is a great book, and she's very precise, but the recipes are actually quite easy. I'm not doing it in a heart-shaped pan, I'm doing half the amount as always. So first up is just some cocoa powder into a bowl and then some boiling water. And then give that a good whisk together just to get rid of any lumps. Sorry if I sound a bit nasal, I've got a bit of a cold at the moment. And then I'm covering that. She's really precise about that. All the kind of accurate liquid measurements. So giving that a cover. And then it's some egg yolks into a measuring jug, and then a bit of water, just normal room temperature water. And some vanilla extract, and then give that a little whisk together just until it's lightly combined, and then that's the kind of prep work done. So next up it's some plain flour. So Rose Levy-Berenbaum is an American cookbook writer, so she uses like cake flour and things like that, but I just use plain flour. And then it's some caster sugar. I only had golden caster sugar, but it's perfectly fine. And then we have some baking powder and some salt, and then they get mixed together just on low speed, just so they're properly combined. And then some butter at kind of room temperature. Well, as best as you can do room temperature in London in winter, but yeah, just so it's not completely fridge cold. And then I'm adding the cocoa mixture. I just made sure there's like any condensation that was on the plate, I put into the bowl as well, just to make sure it was as accurate as possible. And I'm adding that cocoa mixture. The reason you do it first is so it's not as hot when it's added to the mixture. You're meant to leave it about half an hour if possible before you add it in. So that gets all mixed together for about a minute or two. And then you add in the mixed egg and water mixture and combine it all together. I did it in two parts, and as you can see it's kind of gone a bit paler and fluffy, and that's the cake mixture, so it's really simple. I use my stand mixer obviously, and then it goes into the cake tin. And gets smoothed out with the spatula. Then it goes into bake. And then we'll do this, there's a chocolate ganache that goes on top. So first up it's putting some dark chocolate, I'm just using normal Lindt 70% cocoa, into a food processor, and then giving it a blitz until it's like fine rubble basically. And then I'm going to measure out some cream. She uses heavy cream, which I think is a bit closer to double cream in the UK, but I wanted to use single cream because the double cream doesn't actually make it quite dense. So you warm up some single cream, you can see the steam coming off of that, and you add it to the blitzed chocolate, and then you give it another whiz in the food processor, and that's the ganache made. So that's going to get blended together again. And you can see on the side there, so it's all been blended together, and I'm pouring it back into the bowl that had the cream in it, just so it's easier to dab onto the cake when it comes out of the oven. And so here's the cake out of the oven, and then I'm using a bamboo skewer just to poke loads of holes in it. And it does get quite a good amount of height to it, but then when you add the ganache, it all does kind of sink a little bit. But so you do this while it's still warm and still in the tin, and it helps the ganache kind of melt into the cake a bit. And it can take a little while to encourage it. I do get quite impatient and kind of just slather it on and hope for the best. And I'm doing another set of holes just to encourage it down. And then I've taken off the pan and I'm going to dab onto the sides. The first few times I made this, I would, because in the recipe she has you flip it over and do underneath, but it's a bit too much of a faff, and to be honest it tastes exactly the same if I do it like this. So apologies for the lighting, the days are much shorter, so it was a bit dark, so it's just the kitchen light on now. So that's cooled down now, and you can see it's kind of gone a lot darker and it's set. So I'm just adding raspberries to the top. And then I warmed up some red currant jelly just to put kind of a glaze on top so it doesn't have that quite matte powdery finish. It looks a lot more lush and juicy, and that's the cake done. It's really, really delicious and like a really strong chocolatey flavour and moreish and not overly sweet. You get that freshness of raspberry. So hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time.